Alcaraz wins the U.S. Open. He's the number one ranked player in the world. First Grand Slam, first time being ranked number one player, youngest player ever to be number one overall in the ATP. Amazing accomplishment by Alcaraz, whose needle is pointing all the way up. His ascendance to the top has been rapid, has been amazing to see. From winning, like the U.S. Open was a culmination of it, but he won some clay tournaments. He won Rio. He won the Miami Open. He won Madrid, Barcelona, I think, too. Like, his ascension has been crazy this year, and it culminates winning the last slam of the calendar year, the U.S. Open. And, he punched his ticket to the ATP Finals, too. It's going to be great to see him there, too. But first, before I continue, just singing Alcaraz praises and talking about, how I saw it coming, but that's not really saying much. Everyone saw Alcaraz coming. Got to give Ruud some credit. The sportsmanship that he showed in the finals, giving that point to Alcaraz when the ref had stated that Ruud got there before the ball bounced twice, and Ruud said, nah, I didn't give him the point. To do that in the finals is like the U.S. Open in the biggest tennis-specific stadium in the world, with the crowd rocking, trying to get the number one overall ranked player and trying to win your first slam after losing the French Open earlier this year, just a couple of months back. Words cannot describe the amount of respect I have for Ruud. Incredible young guy. I think he's 23 years old, super young, number 2 ranked player in the world. He's never won anything past the 250, but I was kind of talking shit about him before, saying that Alcaraz had to save tennis because Ruud was only a 250 champion, and then he was going to be the ranked number 1 player. I take that back, dude. Ruud is amazing. He's super consistent. Obviously, he's a clay expert. He's a clay specialist, but he's improved so much on hard court that I would not just say he's a clay specialist. He's his clay favorite. Like, that's his favorite surface, but he's also good on hard court. He needs to work a little bit on the grass, but Ruud actually had a lot of chances. He could have broken, to start the first set right away. He had, I think, 2 break points that he couldn't capitalize. And in the third set, he has his chances, too, to go up 2-1. Couldn't close it out. He definitely had his chances. Amazing tournament by Ruud. Got to give him all the props in the world for his accomplishment, for getting to 2 slam finals this year. We'll see how he does moving forward, but the sportsmanship that he showed was just incredible, and I got to give him all the props in the world. But back to Alcaraz. I'm not going to sit here and talk about his tennis and all that stuff. There's people more qualified out there that have talked about it, that have praised, could talk about how he needs to get better at his second serve return and all that stuff. You could hear that from them. What I want to point out is that Alcaraz really has the power to transcend, to take tennis to the next level. And what I mean by that is, I love tennis. I've gotten into the sport a lot more the last few years by playing it, by watching it. I used to watch it a little bit, mostly slams, not really at the tournaments. Now I watch everything. I keep up with everything. But first week of the NFL, walked into a couple of bars this whole weekend, and the thing that was playing on the most was MLB and NFL. And no one was really watching tennis. There was a couple bars that I could see a little bit of the U.S. Open. But when I went to a bar on Sunday, I had to watch the U.S. Open final on my phone because none of the sports bars were showing it. It was NFL. And I get it. NFL is king, but it's the U.S. Open final. What I'm trying to get at is that Alcaraz, he's this player, young player. People like to see the transformation of a player. They like to follow a player from the beginning of their career to the end of the career. So yeah, I know the big 3 was amazing, but they kind of started before the social media age. And by the time, social media took over in early to 2010s, 2013, 2014, they were already made players. They were already the big 3. People had missed somewhat the star at the beginning, especially Federer and Nadal. It was more of Nadal and Djokovic at that point. They were already, talked about being the GOATs when social media really took that boom and really crept its way into sports. Alcaraz right now, 19, winning his first Grand Slam during the social media age. His face is everywhere. And I noticed that if I post clips of Alcaraz and I try to share as much as I can on tennis on my social medias, and people will be replying. They're like, oh, this was cool. And throughout the U.S. Open, people are actually hitting me up and saying like, "Yo, I've been watching a little bit of tennis and this shit's dope. Like I'm getting caught up in it. Like this is cool. Like go Tiafo, go Nadal. Like they're getting into it." And I think Alcaraz has the potential to bring the tennis, especially in the U.S., because it's big in a lot of places, but in the U.S. to new heights. And I know he's Spaniard, and the Americans are gonna have something to say about that too. Tiafo with that smile that brightens up the room. But man, Alcaraz, I think being 19, his story is barely getting started. It's barely getting written. We're like in chapter 1 of Alcaraz and this social media age, and just how charismatic and easy it is to watch him, and his sport, the way he plays tennis is very easy on the eye. I think Alcaraz has the chance to really take tennis to that next level in the U.S. Social media age, being 19 years old, easy to watch, easy on the eyes, highlight driven. Social media is very highlight driven, and Alcaraz has amazing highlights, amazing gets, amazing defense, amazing shots, winners, all this stuff. I really think Alcaraz could take tennis to the next level in the U.S., and I kind of saw it a little bit this U.S. Open, and I'm very excited to see how it progresses in the next slams in the next few years. It's exciting times for tennis in the U.S. So these Americans look like they're getting a little better, like they're learning how to compete a little bit better, and there's a lot of young players that could attract a lot of attention in the U.S. and maybe chip away a little bit at these other big sports like the NFL, like the MLB, like the NBA.